Ah, I made it just in time. What's going on, everybody? What is up? Blackball, Dylan, Large, Jay Dandy, Nick the Dad Bikes. Yeah, you made the stream. Nice. Master, how you doing? I like the countdown clock. Yeah, I always thought that the original idea behind the countdown and having a countdown vid was that I didn't think anyone would ever watch. And I'm like, if I'm going to start streaming, there needs to be an intro. Maybe it's less necessary now, but I don't know. I kind of like it, so I leave it. Might even update that video someday like I always want to. But now it's, what, over a year old? So that's not even last spring. That's the spring before, I think. So, yeah. What's up, Chris? Whiskey, how's it going? Brian, hello. So yeah, I actually got to hang out with a couple people this week. This weekend, Whiskey and Jay Dandy, Large was there as well, obviously. Went to Krampus Cross, which is a cyclocross race in the Cuyahoga Valley National Park at a Boy Scout camp, or in the middle of the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. One of the things me and Large were talking about this year and last year, it's really weird to me. The race, the event, has the actual Ohio State Championship race, and the turnout is just okay. I get that it's in Northeast Ohio, so it's not very centrally located for the state, but it is kind of the last cross race around for the year. And the actual races for the championship aren't that early in the morning. They're at like, what, 1 o'clock or something like that. So I'm just surprised that people don't turn up to try and win that, you know? And I understand that like everyone has their like local cross race series. Like up here, there's NEO, CX and stuff like that. But even a lot of our local guys don't turn out for it. And it just always surprises me. And it's a really cool course. It's a really beautiful space. You know, just to ride up there and hang out is a fun time. They have fire pits. So yeah, it's always been strange to me that that is not a big event. I think this is only the second year they did it like that, but I would still just think it would be a draw from the state. You'd think people would come up and get an Airbnb in a hotel and race it the next day. And you think our friends who race all the other Cleveland races would show up more. And I'm not shaming anyone. It's just something that surprises me. There were some of the Joy Machines guys there. You know, Dirty River's whole entire Sunday morning ride went out there, and they brought a good crew, and a lot of them raced in the fat bike and the fun race where you don't need to be a cat, whatever. But I'm just surprised people don't turn out to contest that. You know, as a local cross racer, like, what are you going to have bigger than like a state, being a state champion? That just seems like it would be something you'd want to show up for. The Masters seem to show up more than anybody else, which Masters and crosses, and I think in a lot of sports, is the older, the age categories as you go up. Unfortunately, I see Lanky's just jumped in here. Lanky got sick and wasn't able to race. He planned to race it, I think, in the Masters, and then maybe also the Open, which is like single speed, fat bike division. So that's a bummer that he didn't get to finish his season out, but that's the way it goes. I think everyone I know is getting colds now. I mean, it's just this cold weather coming, the first year where everyone is full on after the pandemic's, social exposure. As you guys know, I didn't stream for a week because I was down really bad with the flu, so... And I won't be surprised if I catch a cold or two over the winter. I didn't get sick for over 2 years. So anyways, hey, what's up, Cheesy Rider? What's up, Muskrat? Cosmin, how you doing? Oh, so Lanky said some people are saving it for nationals, which is this week. Huh. But with cross racing, and you would know better than I mean, I watch pro cross racing. I mean, the pros race twice a weekend. It's only, 45-minute to an hour effort, depending on which race. So I guess I'm still surprised by that. But yeah, maybe they want all their equipment in top order. They don't want to have to get it all muddy and dirty. That would make more sense to me than effort-wise. Not that you said it was an effort thing, I'm just interpolating it myself. Interpolating it, photography term. Oh, Lanky, you have no voice but feel better. That's good to hear. What's up, Raymond, if I didn't say that? Reliable Waste, how you doing? Like he said, he thinks some people are also burned out from gravel and a long season and everything. And I know some Pittsburgh guys didn't want to risk injury or bike damage. Gotcha. Yeah, because we would actually be closer to, would we? Just about as close to Pittsburgh as we are to Columbus up here where the race was. But because last year there were a few Pennsylvania guys out. And like, even though it's the Ohio State Championship, anyone could race and win that like Cat 1, 2, 3 race. And you would have won that race, but only you have to be an Ohio resident to actually be the champion. So I noticed in a couple races they actually did 2 podiums. So they did an Ohio podium, and then if someone was from out of town who got in the top 3, they would do another podium for that. But yeah, it's definitely a newer race. It's a really cool one. I hope they are able to keep it going because, again, I get how some people in Ohio might want the state championship more centralized, but, you know, nothing's that far in Ohio, you know? So, I mean, if you're from Cincinnati, I guess it'd be a hike, but. Nick, I have a masthead sleigh all day, and I was motivated to get this because Muskrat had it last week, and it's my favorite, like I said, Christmas season beer because it's not a Christmas ale because it's an IPA with spruce tips, so it's just a seasonal, it's Masthead's Christmas beer, but it's not a spiced Christmas ale, so. Lanky lost his voice due to excessive cursing. Yeah, and I saw Jay Dandy's drink, which looks crazy, tonight is a Castile Nitro Barista, chocolate flavored. This is, yeah, Belgian malt beverage with natural flavors, but 11%. So we'll see if Jay Dandy gets a little, what, mouthy tonight with that, if he drinks more than one of those. Yeah, you have to let us know how that is. Belgian malt beverage with natural flavors, yeah. Cosmin asked, how does interpolation apply to photography? If you add more pixels than would have been in the actual photo. So if you enlarge something beyond that, or you do the same thing when you're taking a video file and taking 1080 and making it 4K, they would use interpolation, would be the word for adding pixels where there weren't pixels. So with Adobe, they're using, you know, their AI and stuff to try and fill in the gaps. Yeah, Raymond says, how does Texas do it? Yeah, if you had a state championship in Texas, you would, yeah, have to travel, what, 3, 4 times as far to get somewhere, depending on where you were, from anywhere in Ohio to the other side of Ohio. But yeah. Oh, Nick, you said you hope they have it on tap. You're doing your winter outing to Masthead on Friday. I would expect they would. You think they would keep it on at least through Christmas. But yeah, definitely check it out. It's one of my favorite. I actually have drank a few Christmas beers this year so far, which the last couple years I've kind of skipped out on the actual spiced Christmas ales. But last week I was drinking, is there a can around here? No. The Wolf's Ridge, which I really liked, which is more of like that Great Lakes style, but it was a little more understated, so I liked it a lot. Hey, what's up, Bradley? How you doing? And also, so I did want to take a look at this bike tonight. Show it real briefly. I'll have to move the full camera setup and stuff in a minute, but got a vintage road bike again. Buddy Karl over at Earthquaker had it in his garage, he said, for about 10 years, and his whole goal was to fix it up and sell it or fix it up and ride it. And he realized if it's been there for 10 years, he's never going to do it. So he asked me if I was interested. It's a Fuji Del Rey. I haven't even dialed in the year yet. It's 6 speeds, so it's probably early 80s, judging by the components too. Suntour, ARX, ratcheting shifters, so maybe it's a little later. Maybe it's like 84 or something. Interesting thing about it, it's their tubing, they're calling it Vowlite. But it's quadruple butted. So I guess instead of like just drawing the tubes to 2 different thicknesses, they're drawing them to 3 different thicknesses, or 4. I guess however that works, double would have 2 thicknesses. So quadruple, maybe it's super thin in the center. And you can tell it's a fairly light bike. It's got forged dropouts that are stamped and stuff like that. So mid-range, I guess. But I think I might I think we might, it definitely, it needs to be completely taken apart and cleaned, but I also had as I was leaving Earthquaker with the bike, one of Karl's co-workers who was really tall, and this bike must be at least a 60, it looks massive, was like, oh man, Karl said you're gonna fix that up, let me see it like, when you're done. I have no plan, but maybe a single speed and then see if that, because he said he likes single speeds, and if not, maybe sell it. I don't need another vintage road bike for sure, but I always like winter projects to tinker with stuff. So, and I think some of the components I might want for other builds, like those ratcheting shifters, are kind of cool. Anyways, so I think we'll get into that in a minute. Earthquaker cred on that Fuji, yeah. How many butts? D's butts. Yeah, I'll see if I could get a zoom in on the sticker for the tubing. The wheels are Suntour hubs, the wheel set Suntour hubs. I've never heard of I don't believe I have, of the rims. They're Rigdas, made in France. And it's interesting how, with almost all the vintage bikes, any decent rim is almost always Belgian or French. More Belgian than anything, I think, It's got Diacomp brakes, so it's got a rack on, which is nice. I might put onto something else that I might pull that off and keep that for myself as well. But yeah, I think the shifters, the front derailleur, is something that'll be. I just watched. Did you guys watch the new Pathless Pedal? I think it came out right before I started. I just watched it. Must have came out this evening, afternoon, where he's talking about front derailleurs for like subcompact doubles, and those old Suntours are perfect. I know Ronnie Romance is all about the Suntour derailleurs. So double the butts. Where's Pudgy when you need him? Yeah, I don't know where he is. He did ask me to. We were chatting last week to try and like post a little earlier if I was going to be streaming or not. So I've been trying to do that, even if I don't set up the stream, to at least write something if you're in the Discord so people know that I'm going to be on there a little earlier, if I know. Speaking of which, Thursday is going to be 50-50. I do have a Christmas party for the University of Akron out in Fair Lawn to photograph. I think I should be back in time. I'm going to plan on streaming, but as always, I'll post in the Discord. So. Twan, what's up? You asked, when installing a threaded headset, where should you cut the steer tube? Should you use spacers in case the headset, has a taller stack, in case I use a headset which has a taller stack in the future? Everybody, a lot of other people would be better at answering this than me, because I have, 2 bikes with with threaded that are cut that I've had cut to the size I want them at with spacers. And I've flipped the stem before. I mean, if you do cut it too short, you can get a rise stem, which I wouldn't want to do. I wouldn't overly cut it short. I hate the look of having spacers on top, but it's a practical thing to do if you need to do it. But yeah, I mean, if you already have a bike that you like the fit of, I would probably match it, but yeah, that is something I've never done myself and never had to do myself, because I just don't have modern bikes. I guess it's something I'm going to have to get into when I build up the gunner, but yeah. That's why I still think quill stems are awesome, that you can adjust them. Like, you don't screw yourself if you decide you want to change the fit. I'm looking over at this. This is a Nito right over here, and yeah, you've got adjustment, but. Yeah, I am like not the modern bike expert. I'm about to make a video that I've been talking about forever. It's actually half done, but about the upgrades I've made to my Rally, which modernize it a little bit more. But yeah, I tinker with vintage bikes more than anything, and I usually have, since I'm like best friends with everyone at my local shop. Like when I need like modern bikes worked on, I usually have them do it and I watch, or I try and do something and then have them fix it, you know? Oh, Reliable, what's up? You said you did California State cross champs in San Diego in 2001. Oh, look at that too, San Diego. Think of how far Northern California is from San Diego, way farther than, you know, we are up here from Columbus. But got lapped by Steve Tilford, who showed up and dominated. Yeah, our buddy Jay actually has won, I think, 3 years in a row. An acquaintance of mine. He's also the Cannondale rep for the area and my local bike shop, so I know him more through that. But he's won it every year that since I've been following him, which is about 3 years for local cross. So. Muskrat, you said you're drinking a Great Lakes Ohio City oatmeal stout. Kind of wished you had picked up the Edmund Fitzgerald. Yeah, and Edmund Fitzgerald's a better beer for sure. What is Sam Diaz is drinking looks like a fairly flavored beer as well. Morbidly Obese Pug, Cinnamon Roll Imperial Stout. You'll have to let us know how that is. Those are the kind of beers that go either way. Like they're either just too much and too much sweetness, or they taste really, really good. So they just have a hint of some of that flavor. Hey, what's up, Grand Subject? How you doing? Sam, who I was just talking about his beer, asked if anyone is doing Barry Roubaix. I think I've seen some of the Joy Machines guys post about doing Barry Roubaix, but off the top of my head, I wouldn't know which ones. But yeah, if you are in the chat and you're doing it, let us know. Oh, Muskrat just dropped his Fuji in the chat, which looks like it's a different model, Legro, but made out of the same kind of tubing. Yeah. It's similar. This is pretty, yeah, fairly similar to what I have over here. Must be more of a different geometry build than anything. Yeah, even similar head badge, I could tell. So, oh, yours has the top tube shifter, so maybe yours more of the touring, and I think the one I have here is like the in-between, kind of like that category they call a sports tourer. I did see that it has 27-inch rims, which I always think is cool because then if you can switch out to 700, you can gain that extra clearance for wider tires by having the slightly smaller wheels, which I love with a vintage bike, you know. Oh, I didn't see your like the vintage Fujis had a Fuji Allegro. That's what we were just showing the pictures of before I became a sick hoarder. You think Twan is asking about quill stems? Well, oh, did I read that backwards? Threaded versus threadless? Yeah, I always think quill stem and modern stem in my mind. Yeah, you don't have to cut. You don't have to cut quill stem. There's no reason to ever cut it unless, well, you couldn't cut it because the thing that holds the quill stem into your steerer tube, if you cut it, you'd be cutting off what holds your stem in place. So, yeah, never cut a quill stem. Yeah, you couldn't. You couldn't ever use it again if you did. But oh, Sam, your beer, Maplewood Brewery in Chicago, highly recommend if you're in the area. Yeah, I haven't been to Chicago for years. Did ride bikes the last time I was there, though. Hey, what's up, Rob? Rob from the Pacific Northwest. Bike packing fan, nice. Nick Dad Bikes, you're doing Barry Roubaix? Nice. Yeah, I didn't think you were asking about a cool stem, Tuan. Um, you cut it to your, I mean, you have to cut it to your fit. I mean, that's how high your bars are going to be, you know. So, yeah, you need to be thinking about your bars, your stem length, and all that before you cut that. That's why I like to have like the experts at the shop look at that stuff. But yeah, there's no answer to that question. I mean, it depends on it's for your how it's how many you will put spacers in there, unless this is a fully slammed road bike that what you want to ride like the pros, which there's no reason to do for most normal people. So yeah, it'll just be how you need a dry fit it all. So you need to put some spacers in there, put the stem you want on, put the bars you want on, and then it'll be cut to the length that makes all that work, which even that I'm not an expert in with the star nut and all that stuff because I just have rarely ever had to do that having my old mountain bike, which has that, and then my gravel bike, which has, I've only switched the fork once and I had the shop do it because a carbon fork, which I just don't know anything about dealing with. So yeah, I'm unfortunately not the expert for that. Tuan, if you're in the Discord, a good place to ask that question because there's a lot of people who know all that stuff and could help you out. Cheesy, you said, does anyone have a suggestion on finding stem size on a used bike when you have the serial number? The more important thing would be the bike and the model. Like the serial number shouldn't matter as much. The bike, the model, the year, you should be able to look that up easier than serial number stuff. Some companies kept them in order, some are a mess. Depends on if you're talking vintage, modern, but yeah, all those sizes should be pretty available by Googling your bike and all that kind of stuff. A great resource for a lot of stuff too is Sheldon Brown. Google Sheldon Brown's website, depending on what you're looking up. Tons and tons of archives about information over there. Whatever the make of the bike is, the websites sometimes have archives about their vintage bikes or every bike they've made, and you could look up like all the different sizing on there. But yeah, serial number would be the least effective way to do it actually, unless you don't know anything else about it, you know. Yeah, Cosmin has some good idea there. Some good advice there, which is probably better than anything I could say as a just not a modern bike expert. And when I say modern, it's not like it's not, you know, those haven't been around for a while. But hey, what's up, Malk? It's been a while. I mean, I know we've chatted in other social media aspects, but not on the live streams. I would look up the make and model. And so when I identify truly vintage bikes like that are sitting here, I'll actually find vintage catalogs and look at the color and just start to match stuff up. But most stuff doesn't change, you know. Most bikes wouldn't change from year to year. They would change over like decades. So, you know, if you're looking up an 80s bike, the model is probably going to have the exact same size for a long, long spread of time until they've completely switched up standards. So Rob asked, what are our guys' thoughts on aluminum touring bike or chrome alley? I think that there's a fairly broad consensus among the live stream about like this group tends to favor steel bikes. I think it always depends. Like, I don't think anyone here is anti anything, but I'm a steel bike guy. I mean, I have all my touring bike, well, yeah, all my touring bikes are steel. Anything I've toured on, my vintage Trek, my vintage Marin, and then my Rowley, they're all steel bikes. I do agree a little with Ron that like the anti-aluminum stuff is a little overblown, but I still prefer steel. Steel is also longer lasting, but yeah. Malk says chrome alley. Sam says steel is real. Aluminum gets better and better. My winter bike's an aluminum bike, and I've been riding it since 2001. But yeah, if I was like shopping for a bike, I'm gonna buy a steel bike. Like if I was gonna spend money on a touring bike, and like I said, I'm about to build up a Gunner, which is made. That model is kind of made to be a touring bike, and it's steel, and that's what I like. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to see their. I don't know if there's a renaissance in aluminum, but it's just interesting to see that Crust and Ronnie Romance made an aluminum bike together. But yeah, Gunner plug. Let's see. While we chat, I think I'm gonna mess with this bike. I'll put the chat up here so I could read it and keep chatting while I like fool around with this thing. I think, yeah, I'd kind of like to take it apart like tonight so I could end up cleaning it up. But Jay Dandy said something interesting. Good tires make the most difference in feel. Tires can really change the feel of a bike. That being said, made a whole video about it, and I've talked about it a bunch of times when we've talked about frame material. When I rode Otis's War Road, that was carbon. It had wider tires than any of my other bikes, and it was still on the big chonky stuff, bounced me around way more than any other bike. And you know, people could tell me that frame material doesn't affect vertical compliance, and I just don't agree because my personal experience is not of that. But, and then like I said, my road bike, which is a road bike that I only ride on the trainer now, is an aluminum bike. Again, only 28 millimeter tires, but compared to like my 28 millimeter tire, like 86 Schwinn Peloton, I know how much stiffer that bike is, the aluminum bike. It really, really did like get tiresome on long rides. I really did feel the difference of getting beat up a bit. And I've seen people do the science on why that's not true. My personal experience, you know, is different. There's so many factors that are going into a bike. I would say like, I put those titanium carbon handlebars on my Raleigh, and that has a huge effect though on my bike. Like there is so much more suspension on that bike now, me not getting shaking because I had overbuilt bars. The bars were really thick that were on there. Let's see, these guys. And I never wanted to change them out because I absolutely love the shape of them. These are Somas. But couldn't even put like regular bar ends in there because these are so thick. And when I switched those titanium bars, like the actual way more suspension in the bike just from a different bar, handlebars has a huge effect too. So there's all kinds of stuff that is going into it, but I'm still overall a steel guy. So yeah, let's look at this thing while we chat. Hey, what's up, Matty D? I should have turned this monitor too so I could at least see what I'm looking at. See what you're looking at, I guess. I'll be able to see what I'm looking at. Probably need to brighten it up a bit too, huh? I do love having the wireless mic for this reason, that I could keep chatting while I mess with all this stuff. Get these other wheels out of here. They kind of cloudy up the picture on YouTube. Hey, what's up, Dimitri? How you doing? Ah, what's up, Stoked on Spokes? I didn't see you hopped in here. Steel for touring. You said you used to bash aluminum. I'll get down in the frame. How's this? You thrashed your track bike and now have a cargo bike that's aluminum, and both have really impressed you, but for touring you'd go steel. Yeah. Muskrat's right. Sometimes you have to be wary of old recall parts on vintage bikes. Yeah, and like I made a whole video. I have a bike that has a fork that's called the Death Fork, and I had to research mine to know that mine wasn't the Death Fork. But stems too, quill stems. There are certain ones that have a split plug that goes up the center, and there's two lines, and those are supposed to be real dangerous. I think Pivo made some of them. Most of them were French, but vintage quill stems are it's always worth pulling them out and looking at them. You usually want it to be the kind that's like a shank that's at an angle. But like I said, I have a pair of SL, not even super vintage, but these things came on my, someone had like tried to build the super light, the Peloton super light, and I'm riding and all of a sudden my feet were next to each other on these things. They're absolute garbage, as were the bars that came on that bike. So yeah, always have to be careful. Be especially careful with vintage carbon. Reliable said, you still like the look of big aluminum down tubes? Yeah, my Trek 2007 Trek road bike is oversized tubing, so. Check these things out. This is really cool. I love these like ratcheting Suntour. They're Suntour Power. Let's see if they have any other branding on them. But yeah, these could be cool to put on something. Maybe not even on the down tube. Maybe fit them to something else. Is this camera zoomed all the way out? Well, I'm going to drop the wheels first, so obviously. Yeah, so again, Suntour hubs and Rigda rims. French Rigda rims. Something I've never come across before with all the vintage stuff I have. See if I can get the logo. Where is it? Right here. I don't know. Am I getting any focus on that? Yeah, Rigda, made in France. I think that's what it says. Regida. Oh, maybe it's something different. I don't know. I'll have to look once I clean them up. Or maybe the rear one will have the sticker will be a little better. All right, Nick, have a good night. There's a fairly long cage on this rear derailleur. It might be useful for something. Let's see if we can see what this is. Dimitri, yeah, this, I was saying my buddy Karl, who works at Earthquaker, I was dropping off some guitar pedals that I had photographed over there, and he was asking if I wanted this, said it's been in his garage for 10 years and he realized he's never going to get to it. Yeah, so it is Rigida, R-I-G-I-D-A, 27-inch French rims. So I love, like I said, even though it means I probably won't reuse the rims, I love the fact that I could put 700C on here and gain some clearance. I think I'll pull the rack off next. What is this? Oh, it's a Phillips. Phillips and then the brake. Oh, I'm going to pull the brakes too. So, this screwdriver's ruined. I forgot about that. I think I used it. I have two sets of everything, like nice stuff and then garbage stuff, you know. This is one that got trashed. Should have WD-40'd everything before I came on, which is always a smart move. Do that now. Got a spot for that. What Matt asked, you said your bike shop put a new demo seat on your bike. You don't like it, but they didn't take any measurements. I guess it depends on what they were replacing, you know. Were they just replacing another saddle that they already had on there? Oh, this is just a spacer, not the actual. Steel frames crack too. I mean, anything can crack. Good thing about steel frames is they're usually going to bend before they crack. I have zero. Steel frames do crack, and I'm not going to say they don't. I have bikes from the early 70s all the way through 2014, and I have zero cracked steel frames. I mean, I guess I have zero cracked aluminum frames too, but it's just once aluminum bends, it's always going to get weaker. That's not the case with steel, so I think that's the advantage. You know, steel can be fixed. So these are Allen keys, yeah. Don't tell me none of these are the right size, of course. Vintage stuff, nothing's, I need to get my other wrenches. Make sure to put all the holes, the tools in my hoodie, and then look for them forever, for sure. Now, these aren't ARs, Muskrat. These are, well, they're ARXs. So, yeah. Hey, what's up, Dos Tacos? Steel is real. Hey, what's up, Jasmine? Highly specific question. Anyone have advice for perfectly aligning your stem perpendicular at home? Stand over the top tube, look at the wheel, and line up your stem. That's how I do it. And I mean, that's as precise as you're going to need to be. And I've definitely done it where I've had to go back and readjust it. Grabbing some tools over here again. But oh, I moved my tools because I was adjusting my disc brakes out on the road. So, yeah, someone might have a different method, but I stand over the top tube and I just make sure everything is lined up. Let's see. Blackball said, "If you're not breaking steel frames, you're not riding hard enough." Everything fatigues over time, but I mean, if we're going to compare frame materials, you got a better shot with steel than aluminum. I mean, hot glue gun it. Yeah, if you see it looks off, you can tell if it looks off, then just, you know. I should raise the camera now that I got the wheels off. I'll do that. You see what's going to work on this stuff. This will all be random. And everything like saddle comfort is super personal, so you can't get advice on that. But once you find a saddle you like, then I find I start riding and then I just tinker with the height until I get it where I want it. I mean, there's bike fits if you want to go that route. Pathless Pedal just did a live stream on an online service that'll like take photos of you and like it's supposed to help you get a bike fit dialed in. Me and Erin were talking about doing that with her just for like channel content, but I just find I could tell after a while. I mean, I could just, when I build up a new bike, like say I built this bike up for myself, and whatever saddle I put on it that I started to feel comfortable, then over a little bit of time, it would just be a matter of raising it and lowering it, changing the tilt. I'm really particular about my Brooks saddles, but it's different for every bike. I find that I just have to get that tilt dialed in. Yeah, how far forward they are, how far backwards, depending on what kind of... Me and Jay Dandy were talking about this a little bit with Aaron too on Saturday. Like, some people are super sensitive to their bike fit, and other people are less so. Aaron will literally, if she wears like, puts on like padded shorts or different shorts, she will have to adjust her saddle. And like, I'm not someone who's that, I don't feel it that specifically. Let's see if I can get this to loosen. But oh, Jasmine, you ended up with a B17? Trying to loosen this, go back and forth. Reliable said, use a string tied to a plumb bob for highest accuracy with stem alignment. Yeah. I definitely, when I go on the first couple rides on a new bike, make sure I have the right tools to make the adjustments I want. You know, if I'm using vintage saddles, like this one has like the 2 bolts here, so I would need a couple wrenches to change that one. I could go get the right wrench and be done with this in a second instead of using super annoying adjustable wrenches, but you know, when you're this far in. Matt said, you figured out your bike shop has very friendly people, but they build some nice bikes, but they don't seem good at the fitting part. Yeah, I guess I've just never really wanted people's advice on bike fit. I feel like I get it where I want on my own. But yeah, like I said, I'm on the less sensitive side of that spectrum, so. Oh, I need to cut this cable. Yeah. Fuji feature tonight is just your size and it's gorgeous. Keep all these parts together. Dimitri asked, with these Fujis, is there a way to know the year? Got a Fuji track used in 2019, but no clue how old. I have never, this is the first Fuji I've had. There definitely is a serial number on this one, on the bottom, on the shell, the bottom bracket. I don't know how well Fuji's kept their records. You're just gonna have to, I would go to their website and see if they have anything, but what I was saying earlier with vintage bikes, there's almost always someone, I dropped a washer, dang it, who has put up catalogs. So since they used to change bike colors almost every year, I dial them in by looking at the vintage catalogs, and I've almost always been able to nail which bike I have. By doing it that method. Into my vintage brake collection, this guy goes. Now I could finish taking this rack off, which Like I said, I might reuse this on another bike that's going to be featured in a video. It's been featured in a video, but I made some adjustments, kind of forgot about it and haven't ridden it. So. Yeah. I need to tape these in place so I don't lose them. Well, these are standard, but still I don't want to lose them. Where are we at? Yeah, like I was saying, Dimitri, I think before you jumped in here, I haven't done barely any research on this bike yet since I just picked it up. It was in the back of my car for a couple days, and then I think on this one, knowing that, I could tell this is pretty much original componentry, I'll be able to nail it down by componentry. Track bike, that would be less helpful because you have no group set as much to nail it down with, but yeah, color, componentry. I could already tell you this is, just from my knowledge, I would say 82 to 86 in that rough range, being a 6-speed with this group set is about what I would guess. Even the way the Nito stem looks, I'm guessing it's in that era, a little more aero looking, but that gives me a starting point to start looking at the vintage catalogs and move in either direction. So. Oh, Astroblast, you said you got an 83, I'm not paying attention to where I am on the camera. You've got an 83 Fuji Del Rey, spent 20 hours refurbishing it, pretty nice. Your main bike is a new Fuji touring disc. Nice, oh cool. What color is your Del Rey? Because this is a grayish. It might be a little greenish. I really need to clean it up. And these blue Christmas lights aren't helping me either. But yeah, this is a grayish, like a dark grayish. What's up, Marley? Marley, you said a pro fit is about $300. That doesn't sound crazy. They can be like that. Master, you said you asked your local shop about a bike fit and they referred you to another shop that has a full retool fit system. I think so. It's only that service. Look up Pathless Pedal. You just did a live stream last weekend or the weekend before. The weekend before. But I think like for just a simple one is like 35 bucks. So to me, it would be worth throwing that 35 bucks out there to see how close it got you, if it got you comfortable. But oh, that's what Jay Dandy says. Micro adjusters versus macro absorbers. It pays to have been blessed with a perfectly symmetrical body. Ronell, you said 2 weeks ago you went for a ride and a sudden burst of heavy rain got you. Been using your Brooks leather saddle for a while and didn't really break it in much, but the rain did the trick somehow. Yeah, the key with the Brooks too, they can get wet. You don't want to ride them wet, like especially the next day. And you want to let them dry out after that, or they will get too saggy. So. Blackball, you asked, what is that white BMX 20-inch in front of me? How did you see that? Oh, from last week? It's a Tony Hawk. It's a piece of shit boat anchor that someone gave me. I sold someone a bike and they gave me I sold someone a road bike and someone's son a road bike and they gave me that old bike. But so has anyone ever considered having two of the same favorite bike and setting them up completely different? I haven't considered it, but it makes sense. I mean, you could have the same favorite like bike and have a drop bar version and a flat bar version. Hey, what's up, Chris Alto? Oh, Astroblast, yours is yellow. Nice. Oh yeah, I've definitely bought new decals on eBay to like, if I want to make something look a little nicer. A lot of times on like bikes, like this bike is actually my size. It's huge, but I don't think I'm gonna keep it just because I don't need it. Like now my road bikes tend to be ones that I keep because I'm sentimental about them. Alto, Chris, you have two wheel sets for your favorite bike. That's a thing that makes sense too, long as it's, I think, disc and through axle, right? Makes it a little easier to do that. Oh, Marley, you're at work with because it's the middle of the day there, so you don't get well, for those of us drink, you don't get a drink with us. I always carry Master, I always carry a seat cover with my bikes with Brooks saddles, which are the bikes I ride all the time. Every bike I ride a ton has a leather Brooks B17 on it. And yeah, I always carry a seat cover. I only put it on if it's actually raining. The other thing is, it's more important to have a saddle cover on if your bike's going to sit there in the rain. Like when we go bike packing or bike touring, to me it's more for overnight when my bike has to sit outside. When you're sitting on your saddle in the rain, you're keeping it dry, you know. But yeah, I always carry a saddle cover. I'm probably a little more picky than most, but both of my favorite B17s have been soaked in the rain, and they're still fine. It didn't affect them at all. You also, if you're going to reproof it after the rain, you want to make sure it's fully dry. I usually put them under a fan, let it dry overnight. When it's fully dry, then I reproof it after it's been in the rain. And yeah, mine are all going. The one on my Raleigh has thousands of miles on it, so. I got it used. Actually, Woody, wearing his shirt, Roach Clips, traded me that Brooks saddle for engagement photos. The saddle has outlasted the marriage too, as I think I told someone recently. Sorry, Woody. Not to air your business. How is that attached? I think pull this bar tape off, I think. Pull these bars off and this bar tape. Oh, Blackball, you saw the BMX and the IG teaser for the live stream. Yeah, it's my one, actually Rick, who I bought the studio off of, he told me there was a neighborhood kid who was like getting into fixing up bikes and flipping them in his neighborhood. So when they asked me if I wanted that, I said, yeah, hoping I could get it to that guy so he could mess around with it. I have one, I never rode BMX. Two, it is, yeah, like I said, surprised Tony Hawk would sell his name to something that seems so cheap, but I guess I heard that he does that a lot, so whatever. I need to turn this monitor so I could actually see it over here while I tinker so we could chat. Twan asked me which I've been doing longer, riding bikes, making photos, or drinking beers. Riding bikes, because I've ridden bikes my whole life. So I rode bikes when I was a kid, growing up in the suburbs. My little Huffy BMX, to then my horrible Huffy Mountain Storm, which is actually here. My parents were asked if they were going to throw it out, but I know a place that takes bike donations. So I have it here to give to my friends at South Street Ministries. But they have a program where kids come in and work on bikes, and then they get to keep one for fixing it up. And even though I don't really wish that bike on anybody, if you don't have a bike, it's better than nothing. So, but yeah. And then a Trek Hybrid, which got stolen from college. And then my Trek 4900 mountain bike I bought in 2001, which is still my winter bike. So, and then drinking beers and then making photos. I was really into, I guess I took high school photography before I ever had a beer, and that's when I fell in love with photography. I'm 44, so we had a dark room, and having that dark room in high school and making photos in the dark room, I absolutely loved. But then I played in bands in my 20s, and I took a long break from photography. So photography, then beers, because I wasn't much of a drinker when I was underage. Not that I never did, but no wonder this is so tough. I'm unwrapping it backwards like an idiot. This is what happens when I chat on these streams. I do stuff weird. Grand Subject said you're taking it all in, thinking about getting a leather saddle. Again, like everything with saddles, they're super personal. The saddle that I have now it's on my Marin, but I had it on my Trek 500 when I was riding that as a touring bike. I got from Otis, who owns Dirty River, because he hated it. He said he felt like it was beating him up, and I liked it on the first ride and feel like it only got more comfortable as I rode it. But they wrapped this in 2 ways. So, but yeah, all saddles are super personal, and then some people only like their Brooks saddles once they're broken in. I could ride a Brooks saddle brand new and like it, and I think it only gets more comfortable over time. But yeah. And then you could be Large Marge, who ruins all his leather saddles. I mean, when people get super paranoid about leather saddles, and I mean, people do ruin them, like I said, Large does, but I mean, that's kind of all there was. Like, people, were racing and touring the country on leather saddles for decades. So the reason leather went out of style is not because of comfort, it's because of the weight. So racers stopped using leather saddles because they were heavy, which is a joke, just relatively heavy compared to all the weight weenie stuff that race bikes have to be, or people think they have to be. Talking about Jan Hein, a guy who won, placed in the top 3 of Unbound's XL on a steel bike with rim brakes and, friction shifters. So, wow, this is wild. Bradley says he's had his B17 for 12 years, total butter. Nice. Oh, Astroblast, you said yours has controls on the top. That's like the one Muskrat posted in the Discord. Yeah, this one has down tube shifters. So top tube shifters were like kind of a short-lived trend. And I have a problem with top tube shifters because I ride so forward on my bikes. Because I have top tube shifters on my Roger Riviera, which I ride from time to time. But if I stand up, I ride so forward that I'll actually accidentally shift the gears sometimes with top tube shifters, and that's actually why they stopped using them. So, Yeah, they were like a, what, mid-'80s to late '80s trend to have top tube shifters, and then it wasn't long after that that STIs came out. Brifters, if non-Shimano world, but Charles, what's up? You had a B17 on your French. Can't read that from here, what the French word is, Juanette, since 1974. I have a French leather saddle I bought at the first Nutmeg I went to too, an Ideale, which is a pretty cool saddle. I've switched that over to my 1982 Trek 500 now, so. I really want this tape off here. I guess I could use this razor at this point. I'm surprised this has the suicide lever. Oh, I don't have it in the frame. The suicide levers, like, I didn't usually see those on, like this being a fairly decent bike. I only usually see those on, I guess, fairly cheaper ones, but. Oh, I see what's going on. They had cloth bar tape on this, and then they, at some parts, have rewrapped it with something else. That's why it's such a pain and what's such a mess. I still want it off because I want to see these bars and I might use them for something else eventually. Plus, this is kind of like a simple meditation, taking this bar tape off while we chat. Get this on the camera better though. Catch up on some of the comments while I'm messing with this. No, I still always, Master, I always still put a saddle cover on if it's raining, no matter what. I always, even if I'm riding it, even if it doesn't, if it starts to rain, I put my saddle cover on, so. Astroblast said Suntour 15 years are Fuji label, but they are Suntour, yeah. Marley, you asked what did I play in bands? I'm a bass player, or was a bass player. Maybe a bass player again. My guitar player the guitar player from my bands when I was younger just moved back to town, and he asked if I would back him up on some stuff, and I might. We'll see. Hopefully hang out with him this weekend, but yeah. Yeah, I was a bass player, and I'm usually pretty serious about trying to pick good music for the videos, if I can, so. Sometimes I get impatient. Matt, you said your first bike was a Huffy with solid rubber flat tires. Chris, you said that vintage Sun tire is great. Yeah, I know Ronnie Romance is all about it. Suntour has some innovations, but then they didn't jump in on the index game, which is funny because they were like the earliest to it, really early on. But then they thought that people weren't going to want index. Plus, Suntour is a tiny company compared to Shimano, and they also got the reputation for being super budget because apparently they didn't mark up their stuff like Campy and Shimano were. They would just sell stuff at a margin slightly above cost, which you would think would be a good thing, but eventually made people think of them as being cheaper, even though in the 80s to late 80s, they were making stuff, and even in the 70s a little bit, I think, that was of the same quality as the other two, but. Do you have any red flags when riding with others? What do you mean? Like when you meet someone new? I mean, when I have to photograph like charity rides, I have a million red flags because half those people are idiots. They've never ridden with anyone else before. They'll just stop their bike without ever calling anything out, you know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's definitely a lot of people out there who have not had the chance to ride in a group, but if you don't catch on fairly quick that people are calling out obstacles, that people call out where they are if they're going to pass by you, or especially if they're on your inside where I'm not used to seeing them. Yeah, those are all red flags. I mean, obviously you get a little bit of a learning curve, but if you don't pick up pretty quick and you're making everybody else in danger. And I'm not even somebody who rides in pace lines. I just mean like common courtesy stuff. But yeah, I guess that would be my red flags. I've always found with my group of friends since I've been riding, it kind of naturally selects people who either fit in or they don't, you know. It's definitely people who have come out and ridden with us only a couple times and then never showed up again. So, and I guess we were the red flags in those instances. Right? But yeah. Yeah. If you haven't ridden in a group much, pay attention to what everyone around you is doing and then pick up on it, because cool. Waste. Get that done. Grand subject, I've never ridden Cell Royale leather saddles. I see them, but I've never ridden them. Safety levers. What's up, Baron? How's it going? Shoot, I'm going to back the comments up. Here, let's see. Demetrius said all you need is a piece of carbon for a seat. Is Cell Royale the one I get advertisements all the time for a more modern leather saddle. And then the other one are those French ones that Otis and Large Marge have, the Gilbertudes, and I know those are supposed to be really nice. Much thicker piece of leather. I think it would take way longer to break in. But again, I don't have a problem with leather saddles when they're not broken in. Chris likes the C17. There's a lot of C17 fans. There's also a number of vegans on the channel, so they're not going to ride leather saddles no matter what. But even some of my friends who rode leather saddles really like the C17s. When I borrowed the Gunner before I owned it, he had a C17 on it. I did not like it at all. But again, you really can't recommend saddles to other people. I mean, you can try, but everyone's just different. So I don't, there's just the way it is. Reliable Waste said aero bars would be a red flag for you. Yeah, I mean, a bunch of people on carbon road bikes would be a red flag for me. It's not the ride I go on. Like I said, we don't pace line or anything. But that makes it even more important that you point out stuff to a group as you're riding and chatting, because there's two people chatting in front of you. You can't see any obstacles. Center pole, clear, clear back, car left, car right. All that kind of stuff is the stuff if you're riding with me, if you're not doing that, or me and my friends, then you're not going to last very long in the group. But I agree, Muskrat. I have to have my Brooks saddles dialed in, and it's usually over the first few rides, and then I never move them. But like, I usually on almost all my bikes have a slight upward tilt on my Brooks saddles, which with a regular saddle I would be trying to have it. I'm usually more comfortable with it perfectly level, but a Brooks I usually have to have it slightly tipped up. So. Red flag is a person showing up with a helmet on backwards. I have a hilarious picture of Large Marge on Funny Brad's birthday with his helmet on backwards, by the way. We weren't riding, though. I don't know why he was even wearing his helmet. We were on an elevator, but, well, because we were drunk, that's why. So. Mono Lake, what's up? No squids? I've always said saw too many triathletes mess up the group ride. Marley, you said, speaking of swag, any update on the Estrella mistype? Are you talking about international? I haven't had the time to deal with it yet, to be honest, if that's what you're asking. I'm still US, but I need to sit down and figure it out, but I haven't, so. Oh, there you go. Charles has one of the Stella Royale leather saddles. Nice. Celatomica. I think Celatomica are the ones I'm getting advertised on social media all the time now. Bradley said, yeah, I got a B17 before you were vegan, wouldn't buy another one now. Yeah, a number of people. I totally understand. I don't argue with anyone's ethics on any of that stuff. I've never looked into how Brooks sources their leather. Not that it matters if you would never use an animal product. That's no arguments. Yeah, we've always called these suicide levers. I don't know what I heard Pathless Pedal talk about the one, just tonight he's talking about it again on his latest video about that being a suicide lever. Everyone I know has always called these suicide levers. That being said, the World Sport that I built up for Erin as her first bike had those and she loved them. And when she switched to nicer bikes, she missed them at first. Not that it matters anymore with nicer drifters and stuff, but yeah. 1986 World Sport is the first bike I built for her and her first bike as an adult, and she liked them. It also had top tube index Shimano shifters, so the shifters up here and they were indexed, and so bought that bike for $25 from a scrapper. It was a nice bike, she still has a chromoly 4130 steel, so I said indexed shifting, double butted, forged dropouts, you know. Too small for me though, so. These levers are my idea of flat bar. Oh, hey, what's up, Micah? Oh, Marley, you said Stra is Australia. No, I'll figure it out. It's going to be, also if it's just for stickers, Marley, if it'll let you put your address in and just order them, because for like stickers and bandanas, I just put in a regular envelope and just put an international stamp on it too, actually. And same with locally in the US. I don't do tracking or anything like that. It's not worth it. So if anyone's just ever ordering bandanas or a sticker, there's no shipping on that. I ship those for free. It's just if you want t-shirts or anything else, that's where the shipping goes through the roof for international, that's why it's such a pain to figure it out, so. Yeah, Marley, see if it'll let you put your address in, even though it says US only. If it won't, you could even DM me and we could do Venmo if you do anything like Venmo before I have it figured out, but. Oh, say hey to Pete. Am I going to get Pete out on a ride? I don't know. Me and Pete grew up riding bikes together, but I don't know if I'd get him on a bike anymore. Hey, what's up, Used Bikes? How you doing? Appreciate it. Oh, Muskrat, you said you have a World Sport, and a World Sport is a single speed. An interesting thing with a lot of companies, but Schwinn especially, they use the same names for so long that unless you know the rough years, they could be like totally different bikes. So I've seen some really earlier World Sports, earlier 80s ones that are completely different bikes than like the one that I built up for Erin. Yeah, Continentals, like, I think they kept them all at relatively the same place in their lines, but Trying to think of another company. I know Schwinn just kept the same naming scheme forever without the bikes necessarily being all that similar. I think I'm going to need a socket to get this front brake off. It's pretty on there. Let's see. Ah, shoot, it's pretty marred up. I don't even know if I'll get a socket on there. Oh yeah, looks like a 10 millimeter will do the trick. Hey, what's up, Terry? How's it going? You're at the bar? You're at the bar with the stream on? Such a bummer, Terry, about the what do they call that thing? Smart ID or whatever, not getting you to Mexico City. I feel bad for you. It seems like exactly something I would do. Well, one of my work trips, I didn't pay attention enough to the email, and I assumed that they had bought us all the tickets. And then someone asked what flight I was on the night before, and I said, what do you mean, what flight? And they're like, well, what flight did you book? I went back and read the emails, and I was supposed to have booked my own flight. The only flight left for this work trip was first class. So I had to eat part of the cost of a first class ticket to get on this work trip. But yeah, so not unfamiliar with not reading fine print all the time in my life. Huh, even this derailleur hanger is a socket. Can you not hear the voice? I do have a wireless mic on tonight, so I can mess around while I'm doing this stuff. There was just an article in the newspaper about those real IDs, though, not, they were supposed to go, so I think originally they were supposed to be in effect, but now it said they got delayed, so you might have read like the details even at the time you got it, and it was supposed to be in effect by now for air travel, but yeah, just coincidentally, like I was looking at something I think on the New York Times, and they had an article about how the whole thing got changed up with that, so. Jay Dandy, you said you're not sure that chocolate beer you showed us is any good, but you're not sure you'll remember it tomorrow. Muskrat, you said your 89 World Sport is True Temper USA tubing. Yeah, so that's totally, I said my 86, or the 86 I built up for Aaron, was 4130 chromoly Taiwanese tubing, so. So I drank the whole way there, of course. Yeah, 2025, I think, is what it got delayed to. See you later, Matt. Oh, enhanced ID, that's what they're called. Terry said 2026. My enhanced ID expires in 2024. Yeah. Yeah, weird that the government somehow botched another rollout of security. What else do I want to pull off? Oh, pull off the rear derailleur. Turn this camera back a little bit. Yeah, Terry, I'm just tearing down this vintage Fuji I got for a friend gave me. So tear it down, might build it into a single speed for someone else. That's a big Allen bolt. Where's my... Well, if you don't know, Sam, that's what we're talking about. Terry's supposed to be in Mexico City right now, but at least you guys haven't, like we haven't either, been buried in snow yet or anything, so it's just been cold. I need to get my chain breaker so I can pull these other components off. Oh, Marley said, could be as bad as an Australian telecom company who got hacked and all your ID details got shared. Oh, that sucks. Oh, Muskrat, you're asking about Crop Top. Yeah. He seems in good spirits on Instagram because he's still posting all kinds of stuff, but I love following Crop Top on Instagram. I'm glad you turned me on to him, Terry. He's an interesting character. More cowboy content. Terry just cleaned up your full squished, ready to bro out on the trails with me. Like I even said in my video, man, if I was heading somewhere like those trails you ride in San Francisco, or I would totally want something like that that could handle that kind of stuff. It's just so unnecessary here in Ohio. But that wasn't even my point. It's just that don't be a dick to people, whatever you like to ride. These shifters are cool. They're going to be used for something. I did end up watching that video you posted about, Terry, that dude who quit mountain biking. I watched about 15 minutes of it, and then it was like, since I'd never watched this channel, it wasn't that interesting to me, but I didn't feel like I related to that guy as much as I thought I would from the, I don't know, title. like I think you were saying on your stream, I don't, like, going out and challenging your friends to like try harder and do better stuff to me is not something I have a problem with. Like I said, like my problem is just talking shit to strangers. But yeah, no one should ever do anything they don't feel comfortable doing, but it doesn't mean you still want to learn and get better at things. There's the line, everyone has to decide where the line is for themselves when they're trying to push their boundaries, and where are you comfortable pushing your boundaries is where you should go. I know I have a low barrier. I'm just not super extreme. I don't have a ton of skills. Like, I ride some gnarly off-road stuff on my own, but I know, like, yeah, if you don't feel like it, walk it, but yeah, and encouraging your friends is different than being like, come on, you pussy. There's definitely different levels of encouragement. Some are positive and some are negative, in my opinion. So. Yeah, Chris, I saw it. I just thought it was kind of weird. Like I said, I turned it off. I didn't watch the whole thing. It was like a half hour, and 15 minutes in, I was kind of bored of the Paul the Punter thing. But I would have been more invested if I had been following his channel, I think, for years. And I do like, me and Aaron watch mountain bike channels where people are motivating or like teaching you skills, because we're not that good of experts. So we like watching that kind of mountain bike content. I've just never watched his channel. So, and not for any reason, I just was unfamiliar with it. Think the stem will come out? It's always an interesting, oh yeah, came right out. Wow. That's unusual for a vintage quill stem, just to have it come out that easy. But yeah, these are the kind I was saying earlier in the stream, like, are usually pretty safe, where the shank is at a diagonal. If you pull one and it has two lines through there and the plug goes up in the center, a lot of times people recommend you don't ride them. They could break and pull out, but yeah. Yeah, needle bars, so. I'm gonna get my chain breaker. You have your phone on the charger in the bar? Hey, what's up, Matthew? Cheers. Let me grab my chain breaker, and then I'm gonna probably just chill out and chat for a minute after I take the chain off and the derailleurs off. Maybe I'll pull the cranks, who knows. I need to get an actual chain breaker, not just my portable road one, because this thing is a pain to use. It's just nice because it's, it's convenient if you have to fix a broken chain when you're out on, well, see, that's why I don't like it. But if you're out on the trail, which has definitely happened to me, it's convenient for that because it's small. But yeah, Matthew, someone did grease that stem, which is amazing for a vintage. I had the same portable chain breaker for years that I loved, and then I think I dropped it out of my toolkit one night drinking, and then I replaced it with this Pedro one, which I don't like. But again, like I said, this is a size issue. I just carry it with me because it's for that emergency on the road fix. And I have on a tour, we were riding across the state of Ohio. I actually broke a chain and had to pull a couple links out of it. The bike I was running was a triple, a 3x9. So I just made sure not to cross chain it, and I had no problems. But yeah, I've broken chains twice out riding. So having a chain tool is always come in handy. So. show you guys the derailleurs we're dealing with here. So, yeah, the rear ARX. Yeah, beating Shimano to the bent parallelogram style derailleur, which is kind of cool. As soon as their patent ran out, everybody copied it. Campy and Shimano, actually. Yeah, and then the front, simple. Drop it in my box of vintage derailleurs. Burn Peak. I think I've watched Burn Peak. Is he the one who's really helpful too? He does a lot of oh wait, I want it on the cranks because I think I might try and pull the cranks. Does Burn Peak do a lot of like helpful videos, like explaining videos? I think me and Aaron watch him without me being subscribed to him. He just pops up and we've watched it a number of times. I don't like this design. So I'm not like Pedro. I'm not brand loyal to anything, as you could see. Well, as you guys usually see him when I turn the camera back. Half my wall is Park, half is Pedro. Then I own all my vintage tools. But this is just a terrible system. Look at this. Look at the fit in here. Like, it's nice for the compactness, but it's a pain in the ass to use. So, yeah. The portable Park one that I had was a much better tool. Lots of hacks and other fun experiments. Let's see what we got going on with this. Oh, camera needs to go a little lower, but oh, this plastic cap on this side is destroyed. Oh, this is going to be a pain in the ass. This plastic cap on the other side is falling apart. So just these little, they put these little, I think, to keep them from rusting, just plastic, simple threaded covers. Grand Subject said you don't use chain links, better chance you won't break the chain. Use a chain tool to put it back together. Oh, you mean like quick links? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, I only have like 2 modern chains as that actually use quick links. Let's see. I haven't pulled vintage cranks in a while. I had to think about what I'm doing here. (11/16). What size are these? Where's Pudgy when I need them? Are these in millimeter? 15 seems too loose. 14 millimeter crank bolts. Should hit those with some WD as well. Those plastic covers suck when you get the threads out. Oh, you guys knew it was 14 millimeter. Nice. Wait, they would go, yeah, backwards, right? There it is. Ring the bell. I'm putting all the parts right there on the bar. Don't let me forget. See you, Master Disaster. Yeah, this other plastic cap that's definitely not going to unscrew. I'm wondering what the best course of action to get that out now is. I think it just has to be broken up. I like the looks. I'll zoom in, but this, how do you pronounce that? Sugino RT. Crank has kind of a cool offset look. It's a little different than like the vintage Shimano and SRAM stuff. Not SRAM, Campy. Oh yeah, maybe BMC Plastic could hook us up with some crank covers. Yeah. This is going to be a pain in the ass. I wonder if maybe some needle nose I could get some, as Russ on Pathless Pedal loves to say, purchase on that to like make it turn. Where to put my pliers? Oh, they're underneath the... No, they're not. So good at losing stuff. I'm surprised you have a Sugino on your French bike. It must be a slightly later French bike, later 80s, because usually French bikes usually have strong lights. My French bikes all have strong lights on them, I believe. This ain't gonna work. What would be a way to try and grip that? Vice grips? Oh, there we go. Got it. Yeah, totally had to destroy it, but... Come on, 5D, or R5, do your magic. That should look like an eyeball to you, shouldn't it? Whatever, it's ruined. All right, Marlon, glad you dropped by. A 1970 had a Japanese crank on it. Do you think it's original to it? That just doesn't sound like a French bike thing. I mean, a Japanese crank? Nah, that can't be original. Yes. Am I threading this the wrong way, or are these different threads? Ah, there we go. Didn't think this would have different thread pitch. Maybe they're very dirty. Maybe I should put a little steel wool in there or something. Definitely don't want to ruin my tool or these kind of cool looking cranks. Okay, I think we're... Charles, you said definitely not original, yeah. Yeah, French cranks aren't a problem. The problem with French stuff is the bottom brackets, the threading on the bottom brackets. Even worse, some French bikes, you don't know what they use. They could have used Swiss. Yeah. Yeah, check it out. I'll show you these. Kind of a cool looking... What is going on here? Come on. I touch this camera more, but I have my professional camera and I have a... Yeah, focus. Do the thing where you focus on everything. What is it doing? It's tracking it, but it's not changing. What the heck is it doing? Focus. Did it just turn off? Yeah, what the hell? Why is it doing this? My screen is showing that it's focusing, but it's not. Anyways, still get an idea. Just drives me crazy when stuff's expensive and it doesn't work. Muskrat, you said you'd like to see a 650B conversion on one of my steel vintage bikes. That'd be a cool thing to do. Get all that extra clearance. This is a rough spinning bottom bracket. Ah, the old alloy dust caps. Yeah, I could see that those would need to be kept taken on and off and re-greased so they didn't get stuck in there. I think I have some on my strong light cranks on my World Sport. Oh, Muskrat, you said this crank is like your 84 Trek 520? That sounds like it'd be the right era, yeah. Because I was saying, see ya, Dimitri. Yeah, I was saying I think this is 82 to 86 would be my guess for this frame, so. Is this one going to be a little more of a, might need the wrench to get that in? No, there we go. Worst stream ever. Let's see. Is that a better angle? That guy doesn't want to come off. Yeah, I'll take apart the bottom bracket and see how it feels. Like it's not very smooth, but yeah, good thing about cup and cone bottom brackets is a lot of times you could just rebuild them. New grease and ball bearings, I've definitely done that before, so. Where'd I put my W? Oh, there we go. Actually, might as well grease up that too, so if I do want to take it out and rebuild it, make it easier to get that off later. If I was tightening, it would just come out. Now it's just stuck is the problem. I can't get it either way, so, yeah. You know. Oh wait, you want to tighten the crank lever. What are you guys talking about? Hey, what's up, Joshua? You can't tighten. All that's happening is this is screwing in and pushing against. We didn't take the crank bolt off. That's what the problem is, right? Didn't I not take the crank bolt off? Too busy chatting, not thinking. Idiot. As soon as you guys said that, as soon as you guys called me out for the wrong problem. How often do I run into seized parts? Oh, with messing with all this kind of stuff? All the time. All the time. Yeah. Wait. Now I am throwing myself so lefty-loosey. Yeah. I have done that a couple times, though, what I just did, which is try to pull a square taper crank. Oops. Without removing the crank bolt first. Charles said your ex-wife's, yeah. Just for reference, for anyone who hasn't messed with a square taper or bottom, oh yeah, my camera won't work for some reason, but there's a bolt on there that holds square tapers on, and you need to pull that before you try and remove the cranks. Why will this, so will it focus on me here? No idea. Anyways. Stupid move. Jay Dandy said, yeah, crank bolts, you've done that. How to fix a cracked screen on a Garmin? Does Garmin even do that? I don't know. This bike's been amazing that nothing has been seized on it. We've removed pretty much, right, guys? Everything with ease. I can't believe the stem came out like that. Now, you look at that bar tape and how old it was, you wouldn't think anyone had worked on this forever, but... bike stand. This is actually a cheap bike stand. It's called Bike Hand. It's made in Taiwan. I can't remember why I bought it. I think I found it on a super deal. It's actually, compared to a Park or something of better quality, it's not that great, to be honest. But as you can see, it does the trick for my rudimentary wrenching. But yeah, it was super cheap. So, and I bought it before I knew I'd be doing as much as I do now. So, yep, coming right off, no issues. Like I said, this bike has sat in my friend's garage, like he said, for 10 years. So, the fact that everything's coming apart pretty easy. Chris said it's those vintage derailleur limit screws you hate the most. Is it just too close of focus? Like, why is it? I don't know what's going on here. It was showing everything earlier, like, right? Huh. No idea what's going on with my camera. It's very annoying, though. Now, good thing to do always is put the crank bolts back on right away so you don't lose them. With anything you take apart like that. See if I even have the right. Yeah, that should be able to. Yeah, you're right. That would go that way, right? See how tight this is. Yeah, even the bottom bracket adjuster cups are not seized on this bike. That's amazing. Huh. Or the lock ring. That's the lock ring on there. These are fine threads. You always want to be careful with these guys. Yeah, I mess with the bottom bracket later, but cool. Wrong spot. Yeah, nice to see what this looks like, you know. Give it at least a quick once over. It actually has Fuji stamped in the forks, which looks kind of cool. I don't know, fun project to mess with on the live streams over this winter. See what we decide to do with it. Turn it a little more. Yeah, got a bike. Yeah, chat for, I don't know, how late did it get messing around with this thing? I need to sit down for a minute then. Let's see where we're at. Did I get that right? So do we have no autofocus? I'm getting WD-40 all over my expensive camera. Keep it lubed, right? Huh. Why is it doing this? Maybe it's a feature of this software that messes it up, not the camera, because, I don't know, the other camera doesn't do it either. Now the manual focus doesn't work? What the hell? Come on. I left my beer over here. Yeah, no, nothing's working. Why? Not even trying to do anything. I'm gonna turn this off and back on. I can't stay on this. Sorry. See if we can get it back. Huh. Now it's working. Yep. Weird. No idea. See if it focuses on. Yeah, there we go. That's what the crank set looked like with actual autofocus. Mono Lake said you've never had a seized part in California because it never rains. The worst thing here is snow because everything gets salted. But yeah, rain, snow, yeah. Oh, I did not pull off the pump bracket, which I do want to do too. Reliable Waste said you vote for a single speed build. I think that's what I'm leaning towards because I think I want to keep the parts for maybe a potential other build down the road. So might even end up being a flat bar single speed. Yeah, it wouldn't be the sensor on the camera. This camera's shutter closes when you turn it off. So it usually, sensor stays fairly clean on this one, which is really a nice feature. And you have the choice if you wanted to do that, which I do have it do that. So yeah, my sensor is almost never exposed. Even when I change lenses, I make sure I turn it off. So yeah. Chris said, what's the best way to remove small rust spots without damaging paint? I would use this on a vintage bike. This is would be up to you whether you want to do it. I use the finest, I use WD-40 and the finest steel wool, but there's options that are lighter than that. But this bike will get I'll actually hit this with some really fine steel wool and then I'll probably wax it. But I think what's his name in here is more of an expert in actually refinishing bikes very professionally, but yeah. Used bikes said all old steel bikes are deceptively good performers. Yeah, even my inexpensive steel bikes, I have some that are just awesome.
Johnny Selhorst subscribed to the channel.
Thanks, Johnny Selhorst. Chris said your winter commuter is high tensile steel. You just swap parts to another cheap frame when the time comes. Yeah. Single speed is when your derailleur doesn't work. Josh has got jokes. Yeah, everything on this bike is so dirty. It'll be nice to clean it all up. As you can see, I can't stop because, yeah. All right, enough messing around for one night. Oh, it's 11, perfect timing. Let's move this chat to where I actually look at it. Yeah, I'll throw a picture in the next couple days in the Discord of this bike too, so you can kind of see what it actually looks like. Live streams are not ideal for seeing what stuff looks like, color and all that, where I can take some still photos that you guys can zoom in on if you feel like it. But yeah, and I think when we're in the mood over some of these live streams, think about how we're going to build it. See if I have any more 700C rims that aren't in use for anything else. I have a whole collection of rims over there. So. Thanks, Used Bikes. Thank you. Charles said, Peugeot U08, great high tensile steel bicycle. My buddy Wes, that's his vintage bike that he rides all the time when we first started riding. So yeah, and U08s are easy to pick up, cheap, and there is, I just got a message, there is an e-bike company that is saying they will send me an e-bike to test out. It's under $2,000, but if they're gonna send it for me for free without asking for any of my financial information, because I obviously won't give any of that out, it's a scam. A lot of people want me to buy it on Amazon and then they'll reimburse me. I get those messages all the time. There's a company that seems like they're legitimately gonna send me one. It looks like a knockoff of like a Super C. It would be so fun to get it and make some videos with it for fun, but have everyone take turns riding it and then maybe even give it away on the channel, because right now it's like a fat tired e-bike. I'm just not gonna ride one, but I just got an email back from the guys because they must be overseas and I get the emails late at night. We'll see if that leads to anything. Could be a fun thing to do on the channel, but all right, let's wrap it up. Thanks everyone. As always, like I said, I'll post in the Discord about Thursday. I have a shoot that goes into the evening, but I think I should be back in time. I'm gonna know some people there, so if anyone's trying to hang out after, then I might do that, but I'll keep everyone updated as I know. So, Jay Dandy said, can you take an e-bike over any sweet jumps? I don't take, yeah, we'll see. I bet the thing is a boat anchor. I don't know. We'll find out. Hopefully we'll find out, but all right, guys. Always fun. Thanks for hanging out.
Okay, bye.
All right.
Cause
Yeah.
this time
Fitzwater photo.